Hello, this is Rich Passon from Critical Point, and it's Sunday, April 20th, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Futures market is opened up for the stock market. It is off somewhat. Bitcoin's rather stable, gold's up again, dollar is weaker, and much more discussion over the past 48 hours of some of the people I like to follow that things could just break severely here for the economy and drive us into recession. Markets can severely break lower. There's always somebody who's got to try to be the optimist. But I think what they're missing is a lot of this economic data has kind of been delayed a little bit in terms of how the government collects things, puts them out. Plus, I no longer trust the government because it's Republican-based, and they could cover up anything, change anything they want, apparently. But some of this discussion is fascinating, just how many different things that these people are doing, wrecking and tearing apart the entire government. It just sends a message, boy, this machine can just come down. The whole country can come down. But at least on the economic data, I think it's just a matter of time showing it up. I think there was even a Federal Reserve person said they actually got an artificial high, meaning boost the economy because businesses went out and bought ahead, consumers went out and bought ahead. When they're done buying, and especially when they get hit with the higher tariffs that are just starting to kick in and costing people money, then suddenly we're going to wake up that the economy really backed off sharply probably from that. Now, some people would say, yeah, but all it would do is pull back into its trend line. Yeah, but the next problem is that the data is going to keep coming down the road. So I think, yeah, there's very well could drop this stock market 60% and have a disaster. But I can see where we drop it another 5-7% or something like that, kind of stabilize, and maybe shift to a slow death, okay? And the fascinating thing is I've kind of warmed up to some ideas, even though I don't like the tariffs. I've warmed up some ideas that the tariffs just aren't, they're not a good way of doing it. But there's an alternative to it. You really ought to look this up. Look up Keynes' idea of an ICU, meaning International Clearing Union. And he had a name for a currency that would be going with that ICU. It was called Bancor. And there's some Steve Keen, an economist, was on somebody's podcast and said, really, Trump could have a golden moment here, that Trump could say he's going to set up this ICU, as Keynes said, and he's going to call it Trump's, meaning that'll be the new money. That'll be the place of the Bancor. And all it is all the countries would trade by converting their currency into the ICU currency and then back into the next country's currency. But the key is there would then be measurements on import-exports. And if it gets too far out of whack with surpluses, deficits, you wind up paying interest rates. And which Trump might not care for that because right at the moment probably the U.S. would have to pay. But the interesting thing is it's much better than tariffs and does the same thing as tariffs. It really rebalances everything for manufacturing, but you're doing it more on the financial side and government, financial, banker, international type side. Instead of the tariffs, it's going to hit just you and I down on the street. So it's a much cleaner, smoother, more sensible way of going. And I could get more excited on that kind of thing than where we're going right now for tariffs. Anyways, I should have gave an announcement at the beginning here. I may post another one here in a few minutes. I think what I'm doing with the current Podbean website and being on the Podbean app is I just got word from them that I could archive the show, meaning I don't update it ever again. And so this will be your last update. And I keep it for about a year. And my guess is that's enough advertising for where people could find me at the new website at criticalpointpod.com. And then at the end of the year, I can just dump it and say to heck with it. So I think I'm going to spend the bucks for that and probably do that. So this site will probably be up where people can find and look up old videos and audios and whatnot. And then hopefully see where I gave messages several times to, hey, this show is ending. I'm keeping the podcast name and simply moving it over to a new website. So you have to go to criticalpointpod.com, sign up for one of 3 subscriptions. One is just a combination of the other 2. And so it gives you a little price flexibility and a little flexibility of how much information do you want. At any rate, go to criticalpointpod.com, pass the word on to everybody. And as far as the criticalpoint.podbean.com site, this is probably my last update today. I'm probably going to be doing the archive tonight or tomorrow. And that's the end of it. And hopefully we see you over at criticalpointpod.com and you'll become a subscriber. And thank you. And my name is Rich Pawson. I've been at this for 30 or 40 years. I've made as much as 1,700% in the stock market, trading just stock indexes, not the individual stocks. And since, I believe, August 2010. And actually, I was in the market long before that. Didn't quite keep my track record so that I can remember what it was. But I also learned in those years, in the 2000s and 1990s, I came up with business cycle tracking of markets, fundamental information, the economy, and it's really unique in that it shows periods of time that we're going to have a disaster, we're going to have a problem. I think it's very, very important information. And then I have other techniques that helps us calculate upside near-term objectives when we're in a bull market for the stock market. As of today, we're in a bear market. The stock market, I don't think it's going to end for a while, and Trump is really bringing in 1,000 different wild cards as he's declared outright war against the U.S. as we know it. And it may all work out, be good in the end, but I'm getting concerned, no, it's probably going to be a disaster. You better join me, keep up there, because do keep in mind, you'll find in my criticalpointpod.com site, I have a quote of myself when I said, stock market goes up 100 to more than 400% per decade, goes down minus 20 to minus 50% per decade. Well, if there's a super cycle that goes with it, it's probably going down more than that. And yes, one is coming up. Have a great day. Thank you. Again, go to criticalpointpod.com, and I may put out just one more message of just telling people go to criticalpointpod.com. Otherwise that, we're over and done. I'm out. Thank you. It's been fun.